Okay, I think we'll go ahead and get started with our presentation today. My name is Frank Bunker, and I'm joined today by Jim Valentine, who is CFO over at ILSCO Corporation. They're a provider of electrical connectors. Jim's going to share some of his experiences with Oracle, JD Edwards, and ultimately Stratum from Sylvan. And with that, I wanted to just let Jim talk a little bit about his experiences and what he's seen in the time that he's been using Stratum and installed Stratum with his team. Jim, you want to share some thoughts?
Sure, glad to. ILSCO is pretty much a typical manufacturing company. We're privately held. Just to give you an idea of our size, we're well over $100 million in sales. We've got about 20,000 SKUs that we sell. Our primary operations are in U.S., Canada, and Mexico, and within that we have 3 primary markets that we look at our data and our sales in. We implemented JD Edwards in 2012, and the implementation, knock on wood, went well, except for the attempt to install Oracle's Business Intelligence Suite and Enterprise Edition, which I refer to as OBIEE. You know, as with any of the ERP systems, the sales analysis module or capabilities are usually very extremely weak, and we made the mistake of believing that because OBIEE was part of the Oracle family, it had all the direct tie-ins to JD Edwards, and the integration process would be very easy. And we came to find out that JDE was basically not integrated at all with OBIEE. Unfortunately, I was one of those that made the personal decision not to. I knew about Stratum ahead of time before we made the decision to go buy OBIEE, but I was one of those that said, hey, let's get a package that's already interfaced into JDE, and that's probably one of my biggest mistakes that I've ever made in the whole IT area. At any rate, we quickly found that extracting data from JDE into OBIEE was extremely cumbersome. OBIEE did not have the drill down capabilities that we thought it had. It looked real good in the demos, but when you really got into it, you realized that they were basically had to be pre-designed, and the ad hoc drill down capabilities were extremely cumbersome and basically not user-friendly at all, and we were running into severe response time issues. So probably about a year into the JDE implementation, or after we had implemented JDE, we said we're done with OBIEE. We threw it out and started looking at alternatives. And our goal was we had to get something out into the system very quick that would give our people information on sales and inventory. We knew that we had to find a package that gave people the ability to do the ad hoc drill downs and have the responsiveness that we need. And then we also wanted a package that will allow us to eventually expand into other areas. So we took a quick look at packages were out there, narrowed it down to Cognos and Sylvan Stratum, and ultimately ended up selecting Stratum. We kept telling the people at Stratum that we had Cognos on the side, so at least we could do some competitive bidding between the two, but Stratum by far was the better of the 2 packages. I shouldn't have told Frank that, but that's the way it worked.
Well, I appreciate that.
At any rate, by far Stratum, the use of drill down in Stratum is by far superior than any of the other packages we saw. Even our weakest user gets it. They know how to grab something and either put it on a column or move it up a list and change the view that they're after. You know, the other major benefit that you don't understand until you get into it is that the software is implemented, the software and implementation is done by one company. The best word to keep in mind is responsiveness from the standpoint if you have a problem, it gets solved quickly. It's not that you have to go through your value-added reseller / consultant to get to the actual software developer to figure out whose problem it is. You know, we implemented the package. We had our first meeting, in late December, and by March, users were using it with both complete sales data and inventory data. It was extremely quick, and not only the implementation, but the training went extremely easily. It was done in 2 to 4 hour meetings, depending on the user, and the adoption of it occurred, basically within 30 days. The company had rolled it out through all their operations, and it was adopted extremely well. Not being a technical guy, I know that underlying Stratum is the cube technology, which works. It gets you the data, it gets you quickly, and you get the response time you're after. The other nice benefit is that, especially for the people that are in JDE, that the people at Stratum talk the JDE language. They know what F42111 is, or F42119, et cetera. So, with that, if you look at where we are with it, we rolled it out. As I said, it went very quickly. There were the benefits of having one company to go to if there were issues and getting it resolved quickly. And it's extremely easy for our users to get involved and learn and implement. There's some things that you were surprised about is the amount of detailed data that we can actually pull into the Stratum database. I mean, we pull data in all the way down to the order line level, so that you can pull up information that not only is used from an analysis standpoint, but is also used sometimes by our people actually dealing with transactions or addressing customer inquiries. It's also allowed us to, one of the benefits you do have with Stratum is also the ability to change date ranges on the fly. Very easy. You can be looking at a report that is on a monthly or quarterly basis, and suddenly want to take that same report and flip it over to look at an annual basis, or 2 years, 5 years. It happens very quickly. You can do it in a matter of a few minutes and change the date range that you're dealing with. A major benefit to us was that we were allowed to pull in additional data to let us look at the impact on our gross margins, if you will, of sales incentives and rebate programs that we had, something that we could not do in the past with our old system, nor would we be able to do it with the OBIE system. It quickly allowed us to start getting better handle on which customers are cherry-picking our product line, and we reacted to it accordingly. It did bring some additional margins down in some areas, or not down, but additional margins down to our product line, our gross margin in some areas. And the neat thing is that because it's a web-based application, the salesmen are taking this into the customer. They can pull up data while they're in the meeting. They feel comfortable doing it. So they're having, intelligent discussions that are based on data and not just on gut feel. Bottom line, we are extremely pleased with both the inventory side and the sales side of Stratum, and how easily it went in and how quickly it got adopted.
Thanks for that, Jim. I appreciate the overview of what you guys were able to do there. And from our perspective, I think a couple things were important in the ILSCO implementation, which I think overall went pretty well, and obviously got Jim and his crew to be able to take advantage of a lot of information they were struggling to get before that. But these projects, it's great that I feel like, obviously I believe we bring a really great solution to the table, but our guys do know a lot about the UDC, the address book, the 42119, all that stuff. So we're very familiar with that, and familiar with that in different ERPs as well. But I think another very important part was at ILSCO, we had an executive sponsor like Jim, and they have a solid team there to help us work through the decisions they made and the implementation of their ERP system, so that we can make sure that the right business logic got applied to data. So when someone looks at a sales dollar it makes sense to them. Does it include intercompany or not? Is it certain order types? All those kinds of things. They were able to answer those questions, and then we could turn around and make sure the right information came into Stratum, or at least was segregated in such a way that allowed the folks to see what they need to see. So I think the implementation team on y'all's side is just as important as the implementation team on our side. And as much as we want to minimize the impact of implementing a system like Stratum on your organization, it does require some time and energy and some sponsorship, I think, at an executive level to make sure you can make clear and concise decisions very quickly.